Hello.
Hi, guys. This is Creatures of the Night podcast, and I am Wendy.
And I am Chris.
Here we are. Summertime, fun time, me melting away in this hot room, half dressed. Sorry about that, Chris. To bring you our amazing podcast.
This is it. This is amazing. Our podcast.
Yes, it is. But of course, I'm kind of joking with you about the heat thing. I mean, I wouldn't voluntarily live in the desert if I didn't kind of enjoy the heat. I sometimes joke about being part reptile when I leave after work. Like, the office is so cold, I kind of just sit in my truck for a while and like it's 110 in there or something. But I just need my flesh to get back to a normal temperature.
How do you breathe?
Well, I don't shut the doors. I think that's dangerous. But yeah, I mean, like, I cannot stand the cold, and so I don't mind the heat that much. I don't know if I'm like a descendant from the lizard people.
Ooh, the lizard people.
Or I've had a lot of dreams about snakes and alligators that led me to start thinking, was I like a snake or an alligator in my past life? Do you think do you think you were ever an animal in one of your past lives?
Yes.
Really?
Praying mantis.
No.
No. I'm sorry. To be like legit, and my husband makes fun of me for this too, but like I can actually see myself as being a non-living creature, like being a tree, just because I enjoy being out in the air. I enjoy being out in the elements. Not so much the freezing cold, but when you're out in the open, especially, on a crisp night, and the way that air just hits you and it just kind of hits your hair and your face. I just love the way that feels.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's just me just enjoying that part of the weather or whatever, or maybe it's some older aspect of my soul that's kind of resonating in me.
Yeah, well, I think people from the past, so long ago, everything revolved around what was going on with the seasons and outside, and that was such a big part of it, and there was such a huge connection to nature. I think that's just a part of having an old soul, is being connected to the outdoors. But I mean, I don't know nothing about nothing. I've never paid to be hypnotized to figure this stuff out.
We should totally do that one day.
We should totally do that one day.
Oh my gosh. That and seeing the colors of our aura and so many other thousands of things that we need to do.
Yeah, but I feel like that's a real hokey, not hokey, but okay, you telling me my color's black or orange or whatever and what that means. But if you really sat down and were hypnotized and you say things that don't make sense for you to know or to say without some kind of connection, I think that's pretty authentic.
Oh, that's pretty amazing. That's that past life regression stuff that I love. Yeah, that's fun. I would love that. But I would also hate to wake up from my hypnotherapy session and find out that I told him nothing, or, or that I was in the, the 1300s and I was a floor scrubber, Give me something juicy at least.
No, yeah, you definitely have a point, especially if you wake up and they go, yeah, you said nothing, or you said disco is life or something, it's totally not what you expected. And you're like, no, I had a tarot card reader tell me I have an old soul.
Right, exactly.
You're ruining this fantasy of mine. Probably
do
best
it again.
Not to know.
Right, exactly. Put me under.
You pay them more and more money. That's just the gimmick that they got going.
Right.
Oh my gosh. So anyways, speaking not of past lives, but more about the summertime, this episode actually airs the Monday after 4th of July. And I'm pretty sure I've told you this before, but second to Halloween, 4th of July is my favorite holiday.
I love it. Yeah, I do love Independence Day. Us Americans.
Well, it is not because I'm super patriotic. And yes, I am a huge history nerd, but it's not that either. I just love lounging by water, day drinking, and fireworks. I really like fireworks.
That is the American way. I love it too. I love fireworks. I love the water. I love day drinking. I love all of it. It's relaxing. It's fun. It's a pastime. Yeah, exactly. You just add some music and you're golden. This is great.
So when I was little, my parents took us every year to Mud Island for 4th of July, which, guys, that mud part in the name should tell you that it's not some tropical oasis or anything. Nope. Mud Island is a little island right off the banks of the Mississippi River in downtown Memphis. But they had a huge public pool, and they had like a park setting, and they would have bands play, and they'd have food vendors there. And then at the end of the night, they would have fireworks that they'd play to music and everything. And so it was really cool.
Yeah, it was always really cool. It was just a good way to celebrate Independence Day. It was a way for the community to all come together, regardless of what was going on at the time.
Very, very true.
You know, everyone came together. So that was good times.
Yeah, but as an adult, I moved outside of the city. And so to celebrate, we just had like a cookout at the house, and the neighborhood, thank God, put on a huge fireworks show. Like everyone trying to outdo each other. It was crazy. Meanwhile, here's my cheap ass with like Roman candles and sparklers. So like, thank God for the neighbors, or my parties would have been lame as fuck.
Yours were like the appetizers, and then you had like the surrounding, the actual like fireworks going off, and you're like, yeah, that's why I brought you here. Duh.
Here you go. In Atoka, my house was perfectly positioned, and they seriously must have went to fucking Mexico to get these fireworks. They were huge, and it was just insane. It went on for 30 fucking minutes. It was so cool.
Look, I'm going to name drop here, but Jake's had some pretty sweet fireworks.
Oh, they did. Yeah, they actually didn't have to go to Mexico.
Just go to Highway 51.
That's what you have to do here in Arizona because that shit's illegal. So
yeah. I lived down the street from Wendy in the subdivision. She was not in the subdivision, but we were relatively close. So one year, my husband and I were at home. I don't even know where Tyler was. He must have been sleeping over somewhere, but he wasn't home. But we watched Trailer Park Boys until the fireworks started. We didn't buy fireworks that night. We just went out into our backyard because we were close enough to Atoka where you could see everything. And my backyard lit up like we were on the beach. It was fireworks all around us. The sky was just popping. It was beautiful. It was the best fireworks show I'd ever seen in my backyard.
Yeah. There's just something about a fireworks show and family and friends coming together that makes an event like a badass party.
Yeah.
But of course, that's not what the 4th is truly about. We celebrate the 4th to honor our victory in the Revolutionary War, America's fight for independence, which arose from growing tensions between the 13 colonies and the British Crown. Skirmishes between British troops and colonial militarymen in Lexington and Concord in April 1775 kicked off the armed conflict, and by the following summer, the rebels were waging a full-scale war.
Concord where?
Huh?
What Concord?
That's exactly what I was about to say. Just a few weeks ago, Chris and I were walking around some of these very locations where this all began. So that's really pretty crazy to think about.
Yeah, it is. That's why I was so impressed that I could not wait to take you there, because I was like, this is right here. What? Let's do this. And when I drove by it with my husband the first time, he was like, "Yerp, I'm hungry." Damn it. It was cool.
No, that was a really nice park. It's Minuteman National Park. I think it's a national park. I don't think it's state that we're talking about in Concord. And it's a really cool park. It's got a nice little trail that takes you along these very historic houses, tavern, an old chimney just kind of by itself that used to belong to a house, but it was fucking gorgeous. Chimneys apparently had like fucking tunnels underneath them. The park was very nice. And gosh, I mean, like I would want to, like when we come up there as a family and stuff, have the kids see that kind of thing.
I know, amazing. Not to mention the extremely creepy porta potties.
Oh, no. I don't know what it was, but when I came back, I was telling a story about that to my youngest, and he was like, "I don't want to hear this, Mom. I just love to gross him out." It was awful, guys.
It was so scary, but I had to tell Brandon about it because I saw a tick walking on the floor of the porta potty, and I was like,
totally forgot about that too. I was just, it was like barf city. I was about to go use the bathroom in the woods and risk getting poison ivy on my ass to rather go in there. And that's what it was. I think I was telling them about the park, and they were asking me if it's haunted, and I was like, nope, but you want to hear something scary I saw there? Probably is haunted, though.
Probably has to be, I'm sure. It's historic.
Yeah. So it was on June 7th when the Continental Congress met at the Pennsylvania State House, which later became Independence Hall in Philadelphia. The Virginia delegate Richard Henry Lee introduced a motion calling for the colony's independence. On July 2nd, the Continental Congress voted in favor of Lee's resolution for independence in a near unanimous vote, which led to John Adams firmly believing for the rest of his life, and he was president, guys, that the 4th of July shouldn't have been celebrated on the 4th, that it should have been celebrated on the 2nd. So much so that he would not partake in 4th of July activities, but he and his family would celebrate alone on July the 2nd.
Oh. So when all the fireworks are going off on the 4th, he's like, sit down and eat your oatmeal.
Don't look at that.
Keep your eyes away from the windows.
Day.
Back to your studies and lighting up the fire. That's all you get.
But on the 4th of July, that's when they formally adopted the Declaration of Independence.
So that means we have 2 days that we can actually celebrate now, the 2nd and the 4th.
Take the whole weekend.
Yes,
Week,
yes.
Philadelphia held the first annual commemoration of independence on July 4th, 1777, while the war was still going on.
Wow.
George Washington issued double rations of rum to all his soldiers to mark the anniversary of independence in 1778. And in 1781, several months before the key victory at the Battle of Yorktown, Massachusetts became the first state to make 4th of July an official state holiday.
Yay, Massachusetts! They do something badass for Independence Day, too. In Massachusetts, there's actually a fort called Fort Independence, and it's one that I wanted to take you to. It's beautiful. It's out there, and they have some boat come out. I'm sure that boat has a name, and I'm sure I'm going to be crucified for being like, some boat comes out. But they used to come out on this boat, and they had the Declaration of Independence, and like everyone would go bananas because here comes the boat with the Declaration of Independence, out there, and they'd be having parties and parades and doing fireworks. It was a huge ordeal. That's one hell of a party.
That is one hell of a party when the Declaration of Independence shows up.
Yeah, right? I think they had to stop it a couple of years back. I don't remember why.
Well, I would imagine that thing can't travel very well anymore, and it's airtight, whatever container that it's in. Haven't you seen National Treasure?
I know.
It's a lot of work.
They could come out with a copy. Couldn't they just be like, and here's the copy?
Everybody, all these drunk motherfuckers would still be excited.
Like, woo, it's close enough. Yeah.
So, in honor of the holiday, I found you a little historic haunted Revolutionary War location.
Yeah. It's not in Massachusetts?
It is not in Massachusetts, and it is not in Pennsylvania, where you would associate most of these major events. No. The location I'm going to tell you about is the Old Exchange Building in Charleston, South Carolina.
Lovely. I love South Carolina. I love everything about it, especially the haunted places.
Which is full of.
Exactly. Riddled with haunted places in South Carolina. You're tripping over them.
Pretty much. So located at 122 East Bay Street and completed around 1771, the Old Exchange Building is said to be one of the most historically important colonial buildings in the United States. The site itself reeks of history, having hosted the Half Moon Battery, which was part of the brick seawall built in Charlestown in the 1680s. Charlestown being Charleston, before it was changed in 1783, and the brick seawall being what they built around the city for protection from invasions when they founded it.
Cool.
Soon after its founding, Charlestown quickly became the 4th largest port city in the American colonies. But with a growing port came a growing economy. By 1767, the city merchants and investors band together to approach the local government. They wanted an exchange or custom house equipped to accommodate the growing trade and the new merchant businesses sprouting up everywhere. And that's when, in 1771, the city finally agreed, and they agreed upon building the Old Exchange, then the New Exchange, or just the Exchange, obviously they didn't call it the Old Exchange, at the foot of Broad Street near the all-important waterfront. During the American Revolution, British forces converted the bottom floor of the Exchange into a military prison known as the Provost, or dungeon.
Ooh.
Yeah, they got dungeons.
I was going to say sounds luxurious. Yikes.
Well, it's beachfront property, of course.
So, yes.
Just underground, though.
Living like a rock star. Yeah. In a dungeon.
Over the years of its operation, this dungeon held American prisoners of war, British soldiers, private citizens, and enslaved people. As you can imagine, the confines were harsh. Very little lighting, so only like candlelight where the guards wanted to keep candlelights. They didn't really care about the prisoners. No bathrooms down there. Just like go where you are because you're chained to a wall. It was disgustingly dirty because of things like no bathrooms. So this promoted disease and danger from rats.
Oh, great. That's not luxury. Not at all.
What?
I don't
You're not into that kind of thing?
No.
Well, I'm canceling our plans for this summer then.
That's terrible.
Prisoners were treated pretty much like trash, barely any food or water. Basically, they were just left to rot. Though I could not find any formal paranormal investigations done at this location, they do offer ghost tours to the public, plus the dungeons are open to visitors during the day.
Oh, that's cool. I mean, it's terrible what happened to them, but I can't wait to get down there.
And it's clean now, so
that's
you know,
good. Yes.
Much nicer.
They got rid of those rats, huh?
Yes, it doesn't stink. One such visitor, Nicholas McGurr, blogged about his experience using a spirit box app, which sounds more like an Oculus, right?
Yeah, it does.
Because it's an app. So I don't know if you'd call it a spirit box. Anyways.
Or a speak and spell, but he can call it an app.
Whatever was on his purchase receipt there.
Right, exactly.
Within the dungeons, he received phrases like commit, cruel, he is guilty, and violation. Nicholas noted the words cruel and violation came through right around the time his tour guide was describing the conditions of the dungeon. So intelligent or residual, I don't know, but Nicholas also wrote that 16 minutes into his tour, the Spirit Box app said his name. Now, Nicholas is not an uncommon name, but I mean, if it was me, I would think they were talking to me. But I get trapped in conversations with Boo Bear all the time, so maybe I am not the one to ask.
You called him Boo Bear again. That's not his name.
Okay, I struggled with that. I worried that people wouldn't remember that it's Mr. McFeely, but like anybody that shot for a Boo Bear, they know it's Boo Bear, you know? But yes, his name is Mr. McFeely. Cement it to your brain so I don't ever have to call him Boo Bear again.
I wish now that you would just restart with, and I was having a conversation with Mr. McFeely, because it does kind of sound, well, who's that? Who are you speaking about?
Right. So that's what I didn't want happen. Who the fuck is Mr.
bear.
McFeely?
No, I'm not crazy.
He's my creepy neighbor that fills me up. No. Okay, so for many, many years, employees or visitors have heard residual sounds such as moaning or someone asking for water. And those are the most common ghostly claims for the area. So his spirit box responses, they might be residual. But one lucky Lindsay Beard with Bulldog Tour Company got a bit more hands-on experience with the spirits of the Provost dungeons. Lindsay told news reporters that one night while giving a tour, and she was new at it too, that she felt a tight feeling on her throat. Now, it's really dark down in the dungeons even now.
Yeah.
I guess to like set the atmosphere.
Oh.
She thought she walked into something, like a string that was hanging down or something from the ceiling. So she pulls at her neck and pulls at her neck, but she couldn't feel anything. Yet that tightness feeling got worse and worse. And Lindsay started to think it felt like hands around her neck. So she bolted for the fucking stairs and got out of there.
Good thing she did.
Yeah. Once out of the dungeon, she felt much better. So she complained to a senior tour guide, and he told her, that's normal, and others have reported being pushed. So, I mean, just like get in there and do your thing. And he peaced out on her.
Look, and I complain about my working conditions. That dude's like, so what? It's a ghost. What do you want me to do?
I already
about
clocked out.
I know. It's clean.
Not my problem.
Now go back in there and sell some shirts. Chop, chop. Ooh, that's terrifying. But at the same time, it wouldn't scare me off. I mean, I'd still like to be a tour guide down there. I'd be like, okay, documented. Damn, but I don't want to go back. Don't want to go back.
She totally still works there.
Oh, wow.
Pretty sure she's married to another tour guide too, because some other videos that I saw, there was, I don't remember his first name, but there was a guy with the last name Beard. So I'm like, this is like a Fort Erie situation. There was a married couple that worked there too.
She found love at a haunted fort.
It was probably that senior tour guide that was like, tough it out, bitch. I'll see you later.
She's like, nobody's ever really talked to me like that before. I love him.
But, I mean, with the level of abuse these prisoners endured in that area, plus the types of characters that the dungeon housed, it's not surprising that they can be a little aggressive.
Oh, yeah.
Charleston, being a port town, also meant that it was a place for our favorite characters, pirates.
Pirates. I love them.
The old exchange building was not only built on top of the Half Moon Battery, it was also built from the Court of Guard House, which was basically a prison that held the infamous gentleman pirate Stede Bonnet and his crew, which were captured by Colonel William Rhett and were imprisoned here during their trial and until their hanging in 1718. If you've never heard of Stede Bonnet, maybe it's because he wasn't a very good pirate. So all your pirate museums in Salem and stuff are probably like, no, we don't talk about him.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I thought maybe I'd glazed over him because there's so many damn pirates to read about when you're there. But no, that's probably why.
This is the thing. Stede came from money, and he pretty much just wanted to play pirate. He bought his own ship, which wasn't typical for pirates. They usually commandeered their stuff. He paid his crew, also not what they did. They were usually like, we, raid villages. That's how you get paid. He's like, here, guys, here's the money. Hang out with me.
This guy wanted like a pirate-themed cruise ship is what it sounds like.
He just was fascinated by the lifestyle and wanted to be a part of it. So he paid to be a part of it, basically. But the crew that he paid, they were legit mean, violent pirates. And they would rob and steal and stuff while they traveled with Stede.
Why isn't this a movie? That seems like the perfect premise for like, no, I'm just joking with you. You don't really have to scrub just make it look like you're scrubbing. And then meanwhile, Pirate's like, I'll kill you. And he's like, that's good. Keep it up.
Like
I love
he's
it.
scared of his own crew and stuff like that. Yeah. Well, later, Stede got mixed up with Blackbeard. And that's when the government, started paying attention to him. They were like, oh, shit. So they arrested him and his crew. And it's believed that it's Stede and his crew that take part in the haunting of the Provost dungeons.
It's kind of sad because he just seemed like he just wanted more of the glam that kind of came with being the pirate. Like he wanted the Jack Sparrow glam, a little bit of that. But he wasn't out doing all the murdering and the, taken from the rich. And that's Robin Hood. But you know what I'm saying? Like he was more of like the gentle pirate.
Yes, that's how they portray him. But at the same time, what do they tell you? Like, you got to be careful who you hang out with because you could get into trouble. That's right. The mom in me telling you could be Stede Bonnet and you could fucking be hanged. Don't hang out with bad characters. I got to remember to tell my kids this story later.
That's right. It didn't work out for him. It's not going to work out for you. Stop trying to be a pirate.
But if Stede Bonnet and his crew are haunting the Provost dungeons, they are working double time because they are also said to haunt the White Point Garden, where they were sentenced to death by hanging and then left to hang in the trees over the weekend. So on Monday, they show up, bodies are bloated and nasty, decaying, they've been picked at by birds. Nobody in the city wants to dig a burial for these pirates, so they fucking throw them into the ocean for the crabs to finish them off.
Wow, that's awful. That was also extremely visual. Thank you for that.
I'll draw you a picture later, too, just in case you didn't get it. Bloated, gray, nasty, missing pieces.
Crab food, got it.
Some 49 pirates were executed in the hanging at White Point in 1718. Visitors of White Point Garden have claimed to have seen faces staring at them from behind trees.
Creepy.
I know.
And he was staring at me. That's
you think it's just some creepy person in the park. But some people say that they actually see the bodies hanging in the trees as well, as if they're having like flashbacks.
Wow. That's super nuts. I mean, can you imagine just being like, on a picnic and like, what is that, honey?
You just look up from eating your KFC and you're like, whoa, wait, what the fuck is in this lemonade?
Whew, yeah, no shit. And I wonder, do you see like the body before it's all bloated and putrid or what? Like, what are they describing seeing? Or maybe it's not even like that detailed. They just see something hanging from the tree.
They say they just see ghostly bodies in the tree. So nobody said they vividly see what a decaying, bloated body, because this is like right by the water, so that salt water water like spray coming up all day. You know how that ruins buildings, so I'm sure it's not good on dead bodies either. Yeah.
Okay, I was just wondering, you did say that was in like a park now, right? Like just any old random person can just wander up on.
It's just a park along the coastline. People also say that if you stand near Water Street and you look out into the ocean, that you can still see the faces of the pirates who met their gruesome fate at White Point Garden.
All right.
The park was also occupied by Fort Broughton and Fort Wilkins during the Revolutionary War and the War of 1812. So, I did tell you that, like, Charleston is super haunted, right?
Oh, yeah. I totally believe that. Whatever their state motto is, they should change it to just that. But you know how on the license plate it always has quirky thing?
Yeah. Right. Like yours, live free or die.
Or die, exactly. Yeah, it's pretty extreme. That's how we like it. I mean, have you seen the winters here? But yeah, Charleston, they should change theirs to that. It's fucking haunted here.
It's fucking haunted here. So, Charleston isn't all pirate tales and creepy old dungeons. No, the city and the old exchange building became intricately connected to the American Revolution and the birth of the new nation. Such as, while the Boston Tea Party is well known, Charleston had their own little tea party. 13 days before the Bostonians would dump their tea in the harbor as an act of rebellion, Charlestonians called a meeting to the old exchange building to discuss their course of action. They agreed against purchasing the 257 chests of tea which had arrived with the East Indian Company, and instead they hid it away in the exchange building and later sold the tea themselves and used the proceeds to fund the revolution.
Okay.
They also stored gunpowder that was walled up in the dungeon to hide it. The gunpowder was removed from the powder magazine building, which still stands today, even though it was built in 1713.
Wow. Damn. That's crazy. What is it today? Is it like a fort or something?
It's a museum, and it's also haunted.
Lovely. That's amazing. Of course it is.
Visitors have claimed to have run-ins with ghosts of Revolutionary War soldiers and a female pirate and former Charleston resident, Anna Bonny. Though I couldn't find out why she's connected to the building. She was an Irish American who kind of only briefly got caught up in the pirate life. She met a guy and he was a pirate, and she was shockingly like tough and mean. She made a name for herself even though she was in the game for a short amount of time. She and her crew got caught in Jamaica, but Anna had a lawyer for a daddy, so she was the only one to get out of jail alive, and she moved to Charleston, got married, and had kids. Imagine what she told her grandkids when they asked, "What were you like when you were younger, Grandma?"
Were you a bookworm like me? Actually, no. I was killing folks.
Yeah. Anyways, back to the gunpowder in the dungeon. When the British invaded Charlestown in 1780 and commandeered the old exchange building, they literally were sitting on a powder keg for the next 2 years and never realized it. Which the British were down there all the time, locking up patrons, including several of South Carolina's signers of the Declaration of Independence, and imprisoning them until they could ship them out during the rest of the war to St. Augustine, Florida. You know, the Castillo that we already talked about.
Love it. Yeah, nice. I like how all these are connected.
Though, of course, for some prisoners, execution was deemed their punishment, and they were put to death publicly in front of the old exchange building, never making it to Florida.
Yikes. Bummer.
The exchange's most notorious execution came in 1781, when Isaac Hayne, who was born in 1745 to a relatively well-off family and had married Elizabeth Hudson and fathered 7 children, was put to death.
Oh.
See, prior to the outbreak of the Revolutionary War, Hayne enjoyed a relatively easy, nice life. He owned not only an elegant mansion 4 miles from Jacksonboro, but also 2 other plantations and massive amounts of land in South Carolina and Georgia.
Dude had money.
He was, if nothing else, a wealthy entrepreneur. By 1776, in the midst of the Revolutionary War, Hayne became a captain in the American military. But the Crown ultimately prevailed in Charleston, taking over the city. Knowing that they might have retreaters on their hands, Sir Henry Clinton, the British commander who captured Charleston, threatened to confiscate the property of anyone who continued to resist royal authority. Sir Clinton also promised protection to those who supported the British. Isaac Hayne had reluctantly linked up with the British then, but with a few stipulations. He was willing to support the Crown while they occupied Charleston area, but as soon as the Continental forces pushed them out, he no longer wanted to be tied to the royal military. He was playing both sides, basically, to keep his business.
Sure. Yeah, right.
So then Major General Nathaniel Greene secedes in some battles, and this leads Haynes to believe that the British are on their way out. So prematurely, he captures General Anderson Williamson, who was with the British forces. Then the Crown sets out to capture Hayne. They weren't gone yet. What are you doing? Hayne was promptly imprisoned in the Provost dungeon, where he begged to see his children and his wife one last time. He begged the council, he begged his attendings. Every time, Hayne was denied. Yeah. On the day of his scheduled execution, citizens gathered to stand shoulder to shoulder in the streets. Haynes was led up to the gallows, escorted by a party of soldiers, and hung until dead.
Damn.
Now, some employees believe his spirit still haunts the room that they held him in just 36 hours before his execution.
Ooh.
As sad as Haynes' story may be, America prevailed and later regained control of Charleston and the Exchange Building. And the dungeon was used until the city jail was built in 1802. Though the conditions of the new jail weren't much better than the dungeons. The original structure, like I said, was built in 1802 and didn't sound like it got much updating over the years. It served as a prison from 1803 to 1939. The jail housed a number of convicts ranging from murderers to petty criminals throughout its extensive history.
Did they maybe stop chaining them to the wall?
So they did, but they put them in tiny little cells that were only 3 by 3 or something like that.
Oh my God.
So it would be tiny little spaces and they would pack in a bunch of them. They didn't have electricity for the longest time. They didn't have proper plumbing for the longest time. The place was fucking disgusting. There were bugs and rats everywhere.
Wow.
It's said that 10,000 people died within the walls of this old city jail. However, most of the prisoners died more from disease than from the brutal torture and hanging, which did happen there. And they think about maybe 1,400 people died from those types of events.
I can imagine that the prisoners were probably hoping that they were going to die through a hanging rather than disease that they caught from.
Yeah. They're like, I'll take his place, please.
Oh, you think he did something bad? Wait to hear my story. Wait, jailer, come back.
Just making up stuff.
Yeah.
So this place is said to have more deaths than Moundsville and Eastern State Penitentiary. Prisons that are much, much larger than this one. Wow. So you can imagine this place is haunted.
Well, yeah. I already said that they needed to change their motto.
That's one's
crazy.
Actually famously haunted. It's been on several TV shows. The most popular spirit hanging out in the old city jail is Mrs. Lavinia Fisher.
Ooh, Lavinia Fisher.
Lavinia and her husband, John, were owners of the 6 Mile Wayfair house. During their management of the 6 Mile Wayfair house, in the early part of the 19th century, reports of guests disappearing commonly made their way to the sheriff. That's weird. So rumors started that the Fishers invited traveling businessmen to the inn for dinner, and they would spike their cup of tea with poison. Once the travelers passed out, Lavinia's husband, John, would then enter the travelers' room and would stab them to death in their weakened state. Then they would steal their belongings and dispose of their bodies. They think they might have killed up to 100 people.
Shit.
Yeah. After a couple of eyewitnesses came forward and claimed that Lavinia tried to poison them, but they got away, the Fishers were taken to the old jail and the two were sentenced to hang for their crimes.
Yeah.
Lavinia famously told the crowd at her hanging, "If any of you have a message for the devil, give it to me now, for I will be seeing him in a moment." Then that bitch ran and jumped off the platform herself. And because that's not how you're supposed to do that, she hung for 15 minutes before her death.
Ooh, that's stupid.
Yeah, you're supposed to drop down so it breaks your neck and you don't suffer through that. I mean, both ways are bad.
That's true. Both ways are definitely bad. Seems like she was trying to give them one last good show.
Yeah, she was.
You guys got any messages for the devil? Give them to me, because I'm going to for 15 minutes. I'm going to give him that message. I mean, come on, lady.
To this very day, many claim the ghost of Lavinia still haunts the old jail. So, long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away where Nick Groff still had a job, Zach, Nick, and Aaron investigated the old city jail. Here are the key points from that episode. While using a spirit box, which, by the way, they noted in this episode that they removed the antenna from the spirit box. Like, what the fuck? Why have I not heard this before? And why do they even sell them with antennas if we're supposed to be taking them off?
Wow. Did they explain why they took it off? Or they're just like, this thing gets in the way? I'm always stabbing Nick Groff? Or were they just like, no, we should probably not use this antenna because we don't want outside interference? Like, I was just wondering, like, did they give any more details on that?
They did not give any more details, but then all of a sudden it was like, of course. If the antenna's not out, you can't pick up radio stations.
I mean, that's mind-blowing.
Why are they even sold that way?
I would have taken the reasoning was because they were stabbing Nick Groff, but that makes so much more sense.
I'm assuming that's what it was. So anyways, they're using the spirit box and they were trying to talk to Lavinia. And they say, "Lavinia, when you were on the gallows, you said, if any of you have a message for the," and they pause. And the spirit box finishes the sentence by saying, "the devil," in a woman's voice. And then they call her name, like as if to get her attention. Like, "Lavinia? Lavinia?" And the spirit box says, "Yes." Like, what? What do you want?
Do you got that message for me now?
I'm waiting.
Wow.
That was pretty impressive to me. The rest of the investigation was just like noises, banging, footsteps throughout the night. They got a couple of EVPs, things like "let me out" and "I want to go." And then at the same time, they were getting some battery drain. They got "get off of him." And I think Aaron was feeling sick or something.
I bet.
More recently, Ghost Brothers also investigated the old city jail.
Love them.
Yes, love them. So Dalen, Jawan, Marcus, they all got to interact with Lavinia as well. And, you know, what I found impressive is it's not often that you get confirmation that the spirit that you think is haunting a place is so prominent. You know, like at the old exchange building and in the dungeons, they say, "Oh, it's Isaac Hayne and it's Steed Bonnet." But really, where's the proof? Where Lavinia's like, "I'm here. What can I do for you?"
Like a waitress. "Can I finally take your order?" "Yes, I've been standing here this whole time." What?
4 years.
4 years. The coffee is cold now.
So the Ghost Brothers are using a device. I don't remember which one it was. One of these beepy little devices to receive like yes or no answers in response to their questions.
Okay.
They say things like, "Lavinia, did you die in this room?" And nothing happens because she didn't die in that room. Then they say, "Lavinia, were you hung outside?" And immediately it's like, beep, beep, beep. "Yes, I was." And it goes so on and so on with these kinds of questions. What I found interesting was they say, "Were you a murderer like everyone made you out to be?" And nothing happens.
Yeah.
Then they say, "Well, were you just a petty thief that was accused of murder?" And the device goes off. So either she's a liar or she was framed. I don't know.
Or they're asking very complicated questions. And she's like, which one? Wait, I'm still trying to react to the other question. You didn't give me enough time.
Well, she
that
could
was
be
complicated.
like, "Well, I didn't kill them, but John killed them. I just poisoned them. They weren't dead."
I mean, they kind of asked two questions at the same time. And she's like, which one do I respond to? That's tough.
I don't know. I thought that it was kind of like maybe she got a raw deal or something, but she didn't seem to mind because she went down like a badass and was like, "Well, fuck you all. You benches.
She went down in flames if she got a raw deal. She was
Right.
taking all your messages to the devil with me. And then skippity-doo, and she just dies for 15 minutes.
Yeah, I read something else too, that her husband John was all like talking to the minister before death and everything and asking for forgiveness, and she was like, nah, I'm good. So I don't know. So other evidence that they received, they heard a window slam. They didn't see it, but they were in the room. They noted on their cameras it was open at one point. They heard a loud noise, and then they scanned the room again, and it's closed. They heard a noise in the hall, and then the same thing, another window slammed shut.
Oh.
They also caught a shadow figure passing a doorway on camera.
Wow.
Which I tried really hard to screenshot this for you, but I am 100% sure that it's not going to sell it the way that it should, because I am really slow at the buttons. Basically, it was just a real quick flash. You know, you really can't even see that it was necessarily a human figure or anything, but it's something. It's something that passes in front of this doorway when it was not supposed to be any of them. There's only 3 of them. One's at the monitors watching this happen, and then the other 2 were in the room that the windows were like shutting and stuff.
Wow.
So that was cool. It's a cool catch, though I think you need to see the video, not necessarily look at my screenshots because they're terrible. So.
I know that feeling. I have the same problem with screenshots. I get you.
So again, I repeat to you, all of Charleston is super haunted. But back to the old exchange. To finish out the history on it, over the next 250 years or so, the old exchange building had been under the control of the British, the United States, the Confederates, and the Charleston city governments. The building has been a military headquarters, city hall, commercial exchange, custom house, post office, and museum. For most of the 19th century, the exchange functioned as a federal post office. Until the early 1840s, everything was relatively smooth sailing. Charlestonians visited the post office to pick up their mail, and the postmaster, Alfred Hugger, held the reins. When Northern abolitionists began sending anti-slavery literature to the Charlestonians via the post office, some Charlestonians wanted to see the literature destroyed. A mob attempted to break into the post office and commence with the destruction, but the city guard stopped them. A second group, however, was successful and snuck in during the dead of night. They stole the leaflets and burned them in front of the Citadel, which is current-day Madison Square, for people that live in Charleston. I don't know where that is. Alfred Hugger was not amused. He stood at the helm of his workplace after that, ready with his shotgun to die, if necessary, before he would permit such another outrage.
Yeah, don't mess with the mailman. I mean, who the hell doesn't know the story?
That's why it's a federal offense, motherfucker.
And then he's going to stand there with a gun because he's that fucking serious about his job. These people are just good, down-to-earth people. Don't fuck with their jobs. Just don't.
So the result of all of this, he told everyone in Charleston, don't come here. I will deliver your mail directly to your house. And that was the first time that they started delivering mail to the houses.
Wow. Wow.
However, even a building with this much history can be in danger of losing its identity. The old exchange and its accompanying dungeon spent a majority of the 20th century under the threat of redevelopment until being saved for preservation by the Rebecca Mott chapter of the Daughters of the American Revolution.
Ah, okay.
Today, the old exchange building is owned by the South Carolina State Society of the Daughters of the American Revolution and operated by the city of Charleston. It was in 1981, the Old Exchange and Provost Dungeon officially opened as a historic museum, and the paranormal claims began. Along with the reports I shared with you earlier about the dungeons, there are also stories that down in those dungeons, chains will swing. They have chains hanging up to divide segments of the dungeon or something. And so people have seen them swinging by unseen forces.
Kind of like ropes. Like this section was for that. It would be roped off with those chains.
Yes.
Okay.
But for some reason, I was envisioning that they came from the ceiling. But you're totally right. I bet they're attached to poles. That makes a lot more sense. So people that are lucky enough to see this paranormal phenomenon are quick to point out that nobody was touching these chains before they started swinging. Also, to my horror, they have wax figures down there.
Of course they do.
They had a Disney Imagineer design these animatronic wax figures for them.
They move?
They did used to move. The last video that I saw on it, they have unplugged them, and now they are just standard sitting there wax figures. However, people have claimed to see them move, even though they're unplugged.
Well, that's terrible. When we do our paranormal investigation, they best plug them bitches back up. I cannot wait to see what the years of being in a dungeon next to the sea has done to the and I bet it is creepy.
That's probably why they unplugged them. They weren't working right. But somebody said it just wasn't like the thing anymore, so they just stopped using them in that form. But I'm like, how about you just get rid of them then, please?
I'm like, let's go to showbiz. I mean, the jail. And then people still see them move even though they're not plugged in.
Are they having terror attacks like I would? Or is this really happening? I'm not sure, but it is one of the paranormal claims, though not the most common. People have also claimed to see dancing orbs. Now, they see this with their own eyes, not necessarily in photographs.
Cool.
Fortunately, the spirits who inhabited the exchange building, which is above the dungeon, they're not so malevolent. You know how like they were trying to choke Lindsay out? They don't do that up on the upper floors. They're much more casual. They see Revolutionary War soldiers, which a lot of visitors mistake for employees since they wear period clothing. But then when they like disappear as they walk near them or they walk through walls, they're like, that's not normal.
Well, yeah. What the hell happened to John today? Okay, maybe I should have taken those Tums before I came in. I have a fever. Could you imagine just seeing like someone you thought was like your standard coworker just like poof and they're gone?
Wonder if you would start to wonder like, oh my God, did John die and I just saw his ghost, or was that like a totally different person? I mean, if you worked at a place like this, you would have to go through that list to figure it out.
You're like, yes, I am crazy. I can finally quit.
Can you draw disability for being crazy? Because we might.
I think so.
Yeah, that might be our lottery ticket.
Yes, ma'am.
So the old exchange director, Tony Yeomans, says employees have reported to him the sound of piano playing near the Isaac Hayne room. They have a room dedicated to this prisoner, I guess you would say. But when the door is opened, of course, there's nobody there playing a piano.
Is there even a piano there?
Tony didn't clarify that for me. So I do not know if there is a piano there or not. I'm guessing there is one, just the way he told the story.
Okay.
Are they like, what the fuck is that? There's no piano here.
Right. Well, it's funny also because every single time you say Isaac Haynes, I just, in my mind, I hear Isaac Hayes. And then, of course, you tell me about a piano playing ghost. And I'm like, well, yeah, of course. He's getting down with it.
So Tony himself says, I don't believe in ghosts, of course. Like all directors of haunted buildings seem to like to take that stance for some reason. But he has been in the building when nobody else was there. And he heard loud-ass boot footsteps in the Great Hall. So how are you going to explain that, Tony?
Yeah, explain that, Tony.
Come on.
Give us an answer. You don't believe in ghosts, yet you heard boot steps that are unexplainable.
Yeah. So paranormal investigator and author Jamie Pearson, also founder of Historic Haunts Investigations, shared a ghostly photo from the old exchange building and claims it's a building that never disappoints. But I guess you have to buy Jamie's book to get more of the backstory of the photo because I couldn't find it. I have no idea what room this is from or who she thinks this is or any details. And that was from her website. She's like, look at what I got. And also, would you like to buy my book? So it's not on Audible, so I didn't buy it.
But if you had bought it on Audible, you still wouldn't have seen the picture. She'd be all like, this. And you're like, where is it? Oh, I don't get to see it. Because Audible doesn't give you the pictures.
That's true. So maybe that's why she's not on Audible. It wouldn't make any sense. But I sent you the photo.
Wait, what? How'd you find it?
Oh, it was on the internet.
Oh,
it's even on her website. She just doesn't give you any backstory. You know me, there's no circles. So I'm like, well, what are we supposed to be looking at, Jamie? What did you think happened here? No, I could
Yeah.
totally see that there's a figure. Looks like a guy in a short sleeve t-shirt, not a Revolutionary soldier. So I'm wondering if this is a reflection off of something.
It is weird though, like only his upper torso is shown. There's no lower half. He's definitely a larger man.
Yes.
It does look like he's wearing like a short sleeve shirt, maybe suspenders, but that could just be whatever that black thing is that I'm seeing that's straight
Yeah,
through
that's
him.
like in the way. Because it's a
Yeah.
picture of like an office.
Yeah.
It looks a bit of a mess, as if this
Yeah.
is not a room that the regular tour people get to see.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just speculating on that. Clean up if you're going to let people look at it.
Clean your shit up. It's the mailroom. You can see all the mail in the slots nearby.
Oh, so actually maybe it is supposed to look kind of chaotic and stuff, like a mailroom.
The mailroom.
So it's a mailman. It's a ghost of a mailman.
Clearly, it's a ghost of a man. Yes, that's his shirt.
They would wear short sleeve shirts like that and blue
Oh, yeah.
like that and everything.
Because they're working their asses off.
Well, see, we didn't have to buy the book. It's obvious.
We figured this shit out. That's what we do. We're paranormal investigators. Yeah, he's just missing his lower half there. So otherwise, we'd probably see a pair of postal worker shorts or pants.
Depending on the season.
Exactly. Wow. Did she take the picture?
Yes, she said she took this picture.
Oh, that's cool.
And she alluded to that she's investigated this building a lot, but like I said, I think you have to buy the book if you want some more evidence. This is all that she was going to throw out there on the internet. Little
All right.
taste. It's got
Little
me
taste.
intrigued.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, this is definitely a cool place to investigate. So I'm glad that she's able to get in there as often as she has. And she caught something pretty unique. I mean, we've been to places so many times. We never get like almost a clear full-bodied apparition. It's not full because, like I said, it's only the upper. So it's a clear half-bodied apparition.
It's pretty obvious, though. So, yeah, it is a really good shot.
Yeah, that's intriguing.
Now, many of these poor lost souls that died at the Old Exchange and Provost dungeons were buried at the circular church graveyard located at 150 Meeting Street. This is one of Charleston's oldest graveyards. One of the earliest graves here was put in 1695, and the earliest inscribed tombstone is from 1729.
Damn, that's old.
Yeah. Today there are about 500 tombstones. There were around 730 total at one point, but many of them have disappeared for various reasons. The church has faced a lot of challenges due to its location, including hurricane that destroyed many of the grave sites and records of those that are buried there. Also, during the British siege in 1780, cannon fire.
Oh, that's no excuse. Get that shit out of there. Come on. Protect those tombstones, damn it.
So that caused damage to the church and to the graveyard. A lot of people believe it's this destruction and, madness that creates the ghostly sightings in the graveyard.
Yeah, I can understand that. Their shit's constantly getting abrupted. They're not resting in peace.
Right.
There's shit going on constantly that's screwing up their peaceful rest.
Multiple paranormal experiences have been reported over the years by tour guides and guests. One of the first stories was from a tour guide. She said that she was giving the first tour of the night. She began to see something strange walking around the graveyard. She says it looked very pale, and as it got closer and closer, she could make out that it was the figure of a person.
Oh, wow.
And it looked to be wearing a Revolutionary War soldier uniform. After that night, she said she saw him at least 4 more times, and guests on her tour started to see him too. I wondered if he was trying to get her attention.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
One visitor even claimed to catch a picture of this famed Revolutionary War ghost, or at least the ghostly buttons of his jacket.
Cool.
Which I have that photo.
Awesome.
In his photo, he claims that he can see what looks like 3 or 4 metal buttons, as if they are on the man's jacket, It's also kind of floating up in the air. It's not on the ground.
Of course it's in the air. Have to look up.
This same visitor that caught this photo says that he had made multiple visits to the graveyard, and at other times he had caught misforms, not on camera, but with his eyes, and heard voices and whispers. Did you get the photo?
Mm-hmm. I see it up there by the leaves.
Yeah, up off the ground, he's taken off, I guess. I mean, there's a lot of shit going on in this photo. So the fact that you point out buttons in the distance, I don't know.
This picture does bother me because being that I'm someone who takes pictures in the dark without the flash often, I know that I get blurry pictures if I move even the slightest bit.
Right.
So this guy or gal, whoever took the picture, might have moved like even a hair. And that's why you've got all these other jittery things. It's clearly outside because there's a tree. So there could have been a bug flying. And that's where you get the blur in the background.
Yeah.
But the thing that's in the air, honestly, to me, it looks like an anchor more than anything. But I'm not there. I see the anomaly that you're pointing out as the buttons. I saw it like right away. Like I was able to zoom on it.
It does stand out.
It
However,
does.
the photo is so distorted, really. So it's kind of like, that could have maybe been anything. We don't know.
It's tough. I mean, I've taken lots of pictures at night and in the woods, and we've gotten some really freaky anomalies. So who's to say this could be one of those freaky anomalies? I wasn't there. This person was. And it is a strange thing to see up in the air.
Yeah.
Like I said, to me, it looks like an anchor. You don't usually see those things up in the air. They're heavy.
No, they usually don't float.
Not the ones that I've seen. No. That is interesting.
He seemed confident that he even said he matched it up with photos of their uniform.
Oh, damn.
And it matched perfectly. And I'm like, okay. I mean, I see shiny things in the form of buttons, but I don't know how you're matching up exact uniforms. Lots of uniforms have buttons, sir. But
this is true. I love that he went the extra mile, though. And he's just like, I am going to confirm this.
Yeah, he described himself as like a history buff and that he was only there to take pictures of the historical markers, but he obviously was doing it in the dark at night. So
yeah, I've heard those stories before, sir.
I'm a historian too, sir.
Thank you. Right. But we're also paranormal investigators. Mm-hmm. So if this is the top part of a coat, it's another upper torso picture.
Yeah.
Just very weird.
You can only get torso pictures in Charleston, nothing else. They're very modest.
But just upper half. You don't get to see the lower half.
No, that's too risque.
That's too risque.
So the graveyard activity seems to be fairly normal from what we've heard, right? There's whispers and a random soldier roaming around. No big deal. Harmless paranormal activity.
Nah, you're leading up to something, though. I can hear it in your voice.
What? So it's not that crazy. But yes, one lucky visitor had a completely different experience that was a bit more intense. The visitor claimed that while she was on a tour and they were chatting about the history of the graveyard, that she felt someone breathe on her neck. She thinks it's like another person on the tour, so she turns around to see, who is this, like standing too close to me. But when she turned around, nobody was there. So a man near her asked her if she's okay. And she was like, yeah, I'm fine. She just blew it off like, oh, I'm just crazy.
Right, as any normal person would do, because you're trying to reason all these things out.
Right, and it was one little breath on your neck. You're not going to go that far with it. However, she turns back and starts listening to the tour guide again. And as they talk more and more, she feels something now standing behind her and touching her neck, like cold fingers on her neck. So she like jumps out of fear. And the man next to her, who had asked her before, he says, "Are you okay?" This time, she explains what she felt. And the guy looks at her like she's crazy.
Oh, that sucks. At that point, she had nowhere else to go. So she's like, okay, look, yeah, this is what's going on. And dude just stands there and stares at her.
He's like rolling his eyes. Okay, you're nuts. Whatever. But the group continues on, and then the entire group suddenly stops in their track after they hear leaves rustling.
Oh, yeah.
And they look up, and the tour guide stops talking, and they see, as if he was like called there to prove his existence, that Revolutionary War soldier.
Oh, shit. I'm going on this lady's tour. What is it called again? Is this Bulldog Tours? Is this
it was Bulldog Tours, yeah.
Yeah, booking it. All I'm saying is there's so many times where I'm like, we're sorry, we can't make the ghost appear on cue. This lady knows what to do. I gotta visit her.
So the ghost starts walking towards the group. The group starts backing up, like, hold up.
Wait, that's too far. I didn't get my camera out. Hold on a minute.
But then it gets too close to them and it just disappears. You know, there must be like a limit of how close ghosts can get before they've entered that like barrier. And they're like, they hit the wall.
It's what it sounds like. That, or, I mean, I would assume that it's that energy dissipating for them. Like they've had just enough energy and they could only take 5 steps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I was so close.
I almost touched them.
Yeah, right. I got to touch the girl. That was good enough.
Right.
And I'm gone.
Now, that Bulldog Tour Company, one of the stories that they like to share with people, however, I did not find any validation of visitors that had witnessed this on the internet. They like to tell the story of a mother, Sarah Pratt, and her 2 children, Edward, age 4, and Patrick, age 5, who all were buried here during the 1854 yellow fever outbreak. However, they were buried at different times. But both times her sons were buried, Sarah was already ill with the disease, so she could not attend the burial.
Wow, that's sad.
So it's said that a ghostly woman is seen from time to time crawling on the lawn of the graveyard, covered in dirt and crying. People believe it's Sarah looking for her boys.
Yeah. Could she be any creepier? Sarah, I get that you're in mourning, but lady, stand up. No, I'm just playing. That is really creepy, though.
It is really creepy, and that's why I'm like, oh my God, has anybody ever seen this for real? I could not find that. But it's a story that those Bulldog tour guides like to share, and they share all these other stories, so like, who saw that is what I want to know.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, I can't fault them. I would hope that there's a picture, but at the same time, if you saw someone crawling across the ground of a graveyard, I don't think I would be like, let's take a picture. I think I'd be like, get the fuck out of here. Right. Some bad shit's about to happen. I don't know if it's a ghost or not, but we got to go.
No, I wouldn't stick around for that one. And probably a lot of people that witness it, they're in fucking crazy houses. That's why they can't blog about it, That would drive me insane. That's harsh.
Surely the bars in Charleston were not open afterwards where they can go and drink that shit off. I'm assuming.
So again, like I said, all of Charleston is haunted.
Yes,
this is why years and years ago, I wanted to move to Charleston, like bad. Like we visited on vacation and looked at houses while we were there, but we could not afford that beachside lifestyle. So I settled for the mountains and the 8,000 degree weather here in southern Arizona. But honestly, I've not given up on my dream of living there one day. I don't know, maybe it's a phase and I'll grow out of it, but I like to say all the time that when I retire or something, I'm going to live there. It's not far from where my family's at or from where you're at. It's closer than where I live right now, at least.
Well, honestly, that is not too far from a Duncan fantasy as well. Now, we've pitched that residency before. Brandon was going to try and get transferred there. And I was like, let's go. Well, it didn't work out for us either, and we're still here. That was after we moved to New England. So Charleston is definitely high up on my radar. When my husband posed it to me, I was like, you don't even have to ask. Everything in Charleston is haunted. So I'm on board.
Done and done. And next to the beach and stuff.
Yeah.
So I discovered this little story while I was researching these paranormal locations, and I thought, this is where my people come from. That's where they once lived. And I'm not talking about Irish settlers. I know I talked about the Irish pirate, and I'm not talking about Southern folks because I am Southern. No, I am talking about the Lizard Man.
Here we go with the Lizard Man. Because you mentioned that at the beginning of the episode, too.
So it was meant to be.
Is this the Illuminati?
Nope. This is the Lizard Man of the Scape or Swamp. So just real quick, I know this is already getting long, but in the wee dark hours of the morning, June 29th, 1988, a teenage boy was driving home from work when he blew a tire along the edge of the Scape or Swamp, which is outside of Charleston. He got out of the car to change the tire when he heard a sound like something running, getting louder and louder. Suddenly, from the darkness, it emerged. Blazing red eyes, green scaly skin, long black claws on its 3 fingers, and a staggering 7 feet tall.
Dude was tall.
Who else could it be but the Lizard Man?
Of course.
The boy jumped in the car for safety, but the Lizard Man attacked the car, ripping off the mirror and clawing at the roof of the vehicle. Just 2 weeks later, police were called to a scene of some vandalism. A car not too far from the swamp had been attacked in the night. The fender had been ripped off, the antenna bent, deep scratches along the body, and the chrome trim was chewed off. Over the course of the summer, more cars in the vicinity of the Scape Ore Swamp were brutally attacked and chewed on, and more people reported seeing the enormous scaly green man lurking in the woods and the swamps. The police were called out and the sheriffs made plastered casts of the enormous three-toed footprint left behind in the thick swamp mud. But then, as the cooler days and nights of the fall approached, the lizard man returned back into the swamp. His summertime reign of terror ended, but the legend was born. Over the decades, there have been sightings on occasion and a beat-up automobile mauled by some kind of creature, always within the vicinity of the swamp around Bishopfield.
They should probably move.
The whole town.
Just go somewhere else. Leave that creature be.
Then, in 2015, something remarkable happened. A photograph of the creature was taken by a woman with her cell phone as she left church.
She was walking home or she was driving?
I imagine walking to the parking lot to get into her car and just happened to catch this beautiful image I just sent you.
Okay, stop it. This is claymation. She didn't... If this lady left church and this is what she took a picture of, I mean, this is the holy grail of captures. I mean, it does look like maybe like a He-Man figure.
It's a dude in a Godzilla suit. I mean, that's gotta be what it is.
This guy was walking outside of church and she pulled out her flip phone.
Her flip phone.
Took a picture of this.
So, visitors to the area around the Scape Ore Swamp are encouraged to remain vigilant for the evident return of the South Carolina's very own monster, the Lizard Man. There is also a festival every year in his honor. So, I know I've bounced around all over the place with this podcast, and then I ended with this gem of a cryptic. But come on, people. It's Charleston. It's a little like New Orleans or Salem. Everywhere you look, there's a dark story.
There's some shit going on.
I couldn't help myself. So if you have your own dark story to share, please write to us at creaturesofthenightparanormal@gmail.com, or you can comment or direct message us on any of our forms of social media, which are COTN_paranormal on Instagram and COTN paranormal on Facebook and Twitter, as well as subscribing to our YouTube channel, which is COTN Paranormal. And of course, if you haven't done it already, like, subscribe, and review this podcast. That's the best way to support the show, but you can also go that extra mile and you can always visit our spiritual shop, the Spirit Emporium, which is on Etsy. Guys, we are coming dangerously close to our 100th episode, and we are wanting to really celebrate it. And we've been brainstorming ideas on how we can make this like a big celebration, but we are open to your suggestions. So if you have anything that you want to share with us, like, I want to see you guys investigate a location live, or I want you to do a Q&A, I have questions for you, you know, whatever it is, you can write to us again on any of the forms I listed before. They are also in the show notes. And that's all that I got for you.
Yeah, well, I would love to investigate another location. It's just that, keep in mind, we are in separate parts of the U.S., so maybe not possible for our 100th episode because we'd probably have to do that next weekend.
But it might be possible for one of us to be at a haunted location and the other one to be there via Skype as we are already. You know, that type thing. Yeah,
we've done that before.
It doesn't hurt to throw out ideas. It's just a brainstorming activity if our listeners want to partake in that. If not, then, you know, whatever. We'll come up with something cool ourselves. We don't really need your help, but we're just offering. You can be a part of this.
That's right. And that is the Lizard Man in Wendy speaking, just so you know.
I'm a loner, but I also like to socialize, go to church once in a while, that type of thing.
Every now and then, or at least stomp around outside of them.
I just want to be seen.
It's so cute. Your story was so epic. I love every bit of it. I love how you went from, we are just going to talk about the 4th of July, to fucking Lizard Man. We just went all over the place with it.
This is where my mind goes. I'm like, the patriotic, the America, yay, pirates, don't forget about them. You know, the most non-patriotic people. And then we end up with the Lizard Man.
I know. And honestly, like you had me hook, line, and sinker when you talked about Washington handing out extra bottles of rum to celebrate. I'm like, yes, ma'am. That is my man. Let's do this. Let's talk about him. It's a good story. I really, really liked it. And of course, like you said 1,000 times, yeah, that place is haunted. Your story was amazing. I really did love it. I've got a lot of history here, and I can't wait to go back and watch Ghost Brothers. And I want to say that the Lizard Man, wasn't that even covered by Josh Gate?
Oh, I don't know. I did not look that hard into it. Honestly, I wrote the beginning of my podcast where I was talking about it's hot, and I always joked about being a reptile and liking to bathe in the sun and stuff. And then while I was looking at stuff, it just came up. It was just there. And so I was like, well, okay, I will take that. But other than just what Bishopville is doing, I didn't look into it further if other people have investigated it, trying to look for this lizard man. I mean, once you guys see this photo, you'll understand why I didn't maybe take it that seriously. That looks like a costume.
Well, that's still really cool. I loved your story. So that was fantastic. Thank you, Wendy.
You're welcome. And that is it, guys. And yeah, bye.